So, Byron, coming up on Tuesday might be one of the most important days of this election, which is the vice presidential debate. Typically, these don't get a ton of attention. There might be one or two one-liners that people remember. Interestingly, Joe Biden really helped Barack Obama back in 2012 when Barack Obama had a terrible first debate, and then Biden kind of bailed him out soon after. J.D. Vance is exceptional. He's an all-star player. What can we expect, and what is your advice going into Tuesday?
Well, I think this is actually going to be a very important debate. And the reason why is because we've heard nothing from Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And so the nation doesn't know who Tim Walz is. I mean, people are still trying to figure out who Kamala Harris is, and she's not helping with these word salad interviews that are softballs, and she can't even do that right. So what you're going to see, I think, from JD is going to be a meticulous dissection of the disaster that has been the Kamala Harris-Joe Biden administration and how their plans are even worse than what they've done the last 3.5 years. And I'm not really sure what you're going to get out of Tim Walz. This is really his first time on the big stage like this. And because they've been hiding from the media, they're not prepared, in my view, to have to do this on the fly without being able to clip the interviews or clip your phrases the way you want. He's going to be in a back and forth in a tough interview with J.D. Vance in a tough situation. Meanwhile, J.D., you've seen it, Charlie. J.D. has been all over the media nonstop for 2 months, really pushing the narrative, checking the media, pushing back on tough media. So I know he's more than prepared to step into Tuesday night's debate. It'll really be a contrast in what voters are looking at right now who are undecided. On one hand, you have Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. You know what they're going to do. You know what they stand for. Whether you agree, disagree, love, like, may not like is irrelevant. You know what's coming. Versus Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, you have no idea what they really stand for, except that Hollywood and the media just seem to like them. I don't think that's going to be enough for them to be successful. I think this debate is going to be watched. It's going to be clipped a lot. And the clipping of these debates, I think, matters even more than the actual live debate. And it's going to be, in my view, a technical knockout by J.D. Vance.
Yeah, and Blake, do you have a thought on the upcoming VP debate?
I thought your takes, we've discussed this a lot in private, and I think your takes are very good, that you seize the advantage. First of all, you don't talk about Walz. You just talk about Kamala. You can ignore him if you want, and you can seize the opportunity to make a lot of the arguments that Trump, just by disposition, usually doesn't make. So you just talk about, how he can really produce all of the specific numbers. Like the polls say we're up 8 points on the border, we're up 9 points on the economy, and this is why the American people think that way. Vance is the right guy to make that very specific, practiced argument, and he's an accessory to Trump in a really good way, and that's why we think he was a good choice.
Yeah, and Byron, just to kind of couple on that, is that JD should he should continue the Harris-Trump debate, not make it a new debate. Just prosecute the case against Harris and just basically say, okay, your boss, Tim Walz, your boss has failed at the border. Your boss has failed with inflation. And make it less about Walz and make it more about Kamala Harris, because people aren't really voting for VPs right now. They're voting for presidential candidates.
No, I completely agree. And there's so much room that JD can operate in, because pick an issue in politics today. Kamala Harris has been a failure. She's a failure because she was the tie-breaking vote. JD and I have had that conversation. That's what I'm telling you. I think he's going to be more than ready. And even all of the work he's done with these tough interviews, he's going to be ready for the moderators as well. And I believe he's going to end up fact-checking them in real time, which, as a conservative, that's going to be a personal treat for me. But at the end of the day, it is about the continued, to use the Kamala Harris phrase, the prosecution of her record and her disastrous record as vice president, and what she would do if the American people gave her 4 years. And so I think he's going to do very well Tuesday night.
So Byron, how are you going to be spending your time this closing season? You're in a comfortable race, I assume, down in Collier County, Florida. So you have a lot of free time coming up. Where are you going to be helping? Where are you going to be focusing?
I'm gonna be everywhere. I will be at the debate on Tuesday. I'll be in the spin room for President Trump and for JD. I'll be there doing that. I'm everywhere, man. I basically have cleaned out half my calendar. Had to move or cancel some events that were pre-planned because everything is about being in these battleground states, helping President Trump become the 47th president. I'll do some work for a couple of members of Congress who are in tough districts, go and help them in their areas. But it's all hands on deck right now. So, my wife has given me a special dispensation of grace to be on the road for the next 39 days.
I know what that's all like right now. We're all kind of in the final sprint mode. Byron, it has felt like this election has been years in the making. Our elections are way too long in this country. Let me be very clear. This kind of multi-year presidential election thing is not good. But we have to dig deep and finish the last 39 days. Final thoughts, Byron.
Listen, everybody get out and vote. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you don't do your job. Get out and vote. I would stress go vote early so the campaign can focus on those last minute voters and get them to the polls. In some respects, this is a turnout election. So if you've been frustrated for the last 4 years, get out and vote. I think President Trump said, go get your uncle off the couch when he was in New York. Get your uncle off the couch. Make sure he gets the hell out and vote. Don't play games with this election cycle. Everything's on the line. Those are my thoughts. We can really win this. I think the wind's at our back, but people have to do their part now. Get to the polls, cast your ballot.